today's press conference with head coach Gary Bowden. We just got in a few minutes ago, too, that John Lako was named the MAC Defensive Player of the Week for the East Division. This week, short week, Akron hosts Northern Illinois on Thursday, November 1st at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. It is our whiteout game. Coach, do you want to talk about Central Michigan and then move on to preview Northern Illinois?
I just want to make sure all of our fans have white raincoats and white jackets. It's hard to keep the white from being covered up once it gets messy outside when you put on your one thing that keeps you warm or cold. But we will definitely be in our all whites for the night. But we're again coming off a good MAC win. Any MAC win's a good win, and I've gotten to the point where I hate to watch a film and have to say, God, we fumbled, made mistakes, and I'm awful glad we won. We've got to correct the one thing about turnovers, which were a big part of our last game. That can be corrected. I guess sometimes, like when it rains, it pours, or they come in bunches. But they sure did come in bunches. A couple at the end of the first half, right into the second half, and made that a way too a knee knocker of a game. But I'm awful proud of our team for standing up and settling back down and keeping that lead. And then at the end, our defense, the fourth down stop inside the 10-yard line, or inside the 5 maybe, was the one that probably the biggest factor in that football game. Awful proud of them. Tackle on that play, rightfully so, made by John Lako. He made the hit in the backfield, one of his 23 hits, and he was I guess, awarded the MAC Defensive Player of the Week, and he's very deserving of a guy that came in as a walk-on, worked his way up. Going into this year, he was the backup outside linebacker to Marcus Lloyd. He gets hurt the first series of the season, out for the year. He moves into a starting position. Brian Bell has a little hamstring pull and misses a game or two, and he's got to go play middle linebacker. And what a great job that he did. Obviously, he's been on scholarship here for a while, but it's been a great story for him. But again, a win. It's a good conference win. You know, I was looking at our MAC standings. Right now, there's only 5 teams in our conference with winning records, and we're one of them, and I'm awful proud to be right there. Now we've got to play one of the best teams in the conference in Northern Illinois, and clearly, if not the best defense, one of the best defenses, too. They're ranked number 1 in scoring defense and number 2 maybe in total defense, and number 1 in rush defense, and they make it hard on you every which way, and they seem to just want to score enough to win. They score enough points to win. They do enough things offensively that they want them to have more points than the other team. And it doesn't like statistics matter. They're going to come after you, physical, run the football, throw it when they have to, and it's a Northern Illinois type team that I've seen since I've been in this conference for 7 years. It's the way they like to play. And so with all that as kind of openers, we'll let you open to questions.
Sort of a weird question. Yeah, I know
not from you, George. I can imagine.
Given the short week, is it when kind of you're ready to get back to it to correct those mistakes sooner than you would have been? Instead, it's easier to forget them to move on.
You know, the thing about everything was a day earlier. I mean, Sunday we had long talks and fumble discussions and how to hold a football. I just went back to some basics a day earlier. You know, football season is kind of it's stressful and it's fast. It comes so fast, it goes so fast. You like a little bit of time I mean, this 25 years I've been doing it. In a 5-day week, you don't get that, but. I don't know, to answer your question, we were able to at least address the issues and get to practice and get right back to work. And I think that was good in regard to just because it wasn't like all these things went wrong. We had 4 penalties, none in the first half, only 4 for the day. A couple of those could have been corrected, or where we weren't sure exactly what the calls were, what happened in the penalties. And so that, as far as that was concerned, and no interceptions, and defense didn't give up a lot of big plays. Of explosive plays. That's the one area that we need to correct was one simple area. By 2, backups made most of those decisions. The quarterback made a poor decision on one, but backups on the other. So, you know, we had to get right into Northern Illinois really fast. Today was a full day of work. You know, Monday's usually the day off for our players. Today is a full day of practice we've had already, and Tuesday will be a full day of practice, and Wednesday is your day that you're supposed to take it easy and kind of get rested up for the game. So the schedule. That's how the schedule's going to go.
The running game, did you hit upon the secret sauce on Sunday? Lots of a tailback and just enough Cato to keep it off balance?
Well, I think that's what, usually when you have a pretty good running attack, you got a back that's different than the rest of the backs, or the one that's your feature back or your best back most of the time. And I think Van Edwards, we try to give him a spell, but I think we still want to keep him in that ball game as long as we can. He has the speed and the experience to help us at that position. With Cato getting enough, you're right. I mean, if we don't have if he doesn't lose all that yards on that one play, and then on the last series of the game, we probably have over 200 yards rushing, which would, I think we haven't had that since Morgan State. But it was a good day of running the football. We really tried to emphasize it. Now, we're playing against a team that is going to challenge you every step of the way and wants you to run it right at them. And so it'll be you got to keep on doing it, though. I guarantee you got to keep on doing it because they lead the league in sacks and maybe double. One of the best sack guy, number 15, that I've seen around just in pure quickness and ability to get to the quarterback. So you've got to be careful not to play one side of the game too much with this team.
So you can't pick your poison in this case, you're saying?
No, I don't think you can just say I think you got to keep them off balance and give them a little bit of different stuff. And so we're continuing to look at it because your game plan is still evolving right now. Sunday night, Monday night, we got to get it all done now instead of by Wednesday or Wednesday night. Usually you got it all the way through Wednesday to play around with it. And that's not the case now, but you've got to. You can't just line up and sit in the pocket. They'll come after you and get you. They'll come after you and get you, and you can't run it every down because they're going to load it up. And as they're coming after you, they blitz through the run lanes. Sometimes when you blitz, it's really through the run lane, so you're doubling up the difficulty in running. And if you don't happen to run it, they're always heading toward the quarterback on the way to the quarterback to stop that run. So there's some things you got to keep them off balance. They're very good. We're very well coached. They play hard. Impressed with the way how hard Northern Illinois plays.
Coach, NIU played later in the afternoon on Saturday against BYU. Everyone knows at this point they won. Can you or your coaching staff, A, did you get an opportunity to, B, do you pick up anything from watching a game live, even if it's on a television broadcast, that you don't pick up when you watch the game film?
Yeah, you really do. You really do. And you got to understand, I was a broadcaster for years doing the exact same thing, not 3 years doing that at game sites. If you watch and listen, those guys spend all week studying, getting stats, talking with the staff, getting it. They don't give up secret stuff during the game, but it gives up stuff for future games. So I listen intently to watch a game. One, just to get a first-hand shot at watching how hard they play and how difficult it was for BYU to. They set with one field goal, would have won that game for a long time and couldn't get one field goal. When you sit there, that's a pretty sporty defense right there. But two, you do get a talk. You get to hear announcers talk about all the things they've studied for a week for the game, their conversations and interviews they have with the coaching staff, and it does give you some insight when you do get to do that. You don't get it very much. I got most of their game to watch.
I mean, excuse me, Northern Illinois, as we know, they're very good. They scored 137 points all year. I mean, it's kind of amazing to be 5-3 where they're at, but that's just how good defense.
That's what and again, we've played that. We've done that a lot too here when we feel like our defense has got the strength. If you don't turn the ball over like we're doing, that's where, if you take out the last 4 series against Miami, when the game was 31-17, and the 4 fumbles by our backups before we had this game, we're probably the top 3 or 4 in our conference too. We're plus 7 or 8 as opposed to being -1. But that's what they're doing. They're content to run. Their defense is good enough where they're going to play smart football. When they get ahead, they're not trying to score, but they just play smart football. And when I look at their score, I say, well, that's part of their intent. It's not their intent not to score more, but it's their intent to know they're going to have a defense that can keep people out of the end zone. We've got to find a way. They've had their conference games. They've won, but 3 against Ohio in the 20s, 21, I think, 3 against Eastern Michigan, 27-24 maybe, like 8 against Central Michigan, and 8 against Central Michigan, and 8 against the other team they played in the conference. And so they're all in their 20s, in close games. I mean, you're going to have to get your points up in that level probably.
I believe that this is the only team in the MAC that you would not beat. Is that right?
probably.
Pretty sure 'cause Central was the other.
Yeah, Central was, yeah.
You've only played them twice. I mean, you ever aware about stuff like that with them?
You know, I don't. I mean, there's something. You remember George? They had one of the best quarterbacks in the country at that time, and he was beating everybody, and they were almost going undefeated. And they're an outstanding team this year. You know, we don't play them in our division. You know, so sometimes when you don't play a team every year, you have lost 8 straight, and that goes back over 30 years or something, and say it doesn't get much carryover right now, and I'm worried about the one we have this year. You know. Because I know that the game against Central Michigan, we had nothing to do with those games prior to that. But it's a Mid-American Conference game, and this is a good team that's usually on the upper top of the conference.
We had this debate. Don't take this. You won't take it the wrong way. But during Joe's interview after the game, you said every win's a good win.
Right.
Which I've been around long enough. I wholeheartedly agree.
Right.
Brad was not. He said, "Well, if you take that attitude, then you won't get better."
Well, I mean, I don't. I've been a head coach 25 years, and wins are hard. Yeah. And I would much rather teach mistakes from a win than from a loss. And so I understand what Brad means by all means. If you turn up, because you walk off the field and you just won a game, your defense made a great stop. You've won a conference game. That team has been down to the wire with some very good teams in our conference, including Northern Illinois. And all I can think of is how mad I am because we turned the ball over. I'm just so mad. I'm mad. I'm mad, and I'm thinking I can't do that to that. Well, I can't. I've got to enjoy this game somewhere along the line. I've got to be positive for my players and them. And so we all know what we're talking about. I mean, Brad, it's just a figure. I mean, are some wins uglier than others or not as yes, but all wins are good wins. I promise you. You don't have to be in this business as long as I have to know that.
You have no time to look back or think about it, but as Northwestern moves to the top of the Big Ten West, that game, I mean, that one's gonna be around for a long time. It gets mentioned by us, and it gets mentioned by them too.
Well, anything that helps you to elevate your reputation from a standpoint of a league, is from a team. You're always proud for that to happen, and Northwestern keeps on winning, and you're sticking with your theme of turnovers too, because look what has to happen in a big game. If you're going to mess one up like we almost did, or you're going to get one that's improbable, you're going to look somewhere along that. There's going to be turnovers or explosive plays. That one combined, both of them turnovers turned into explosive plays, and so yeah, that's. It's not much we can do about that, but that's a nice side story.
Coach, the last couple of years you've had guys that have walked on here end up being pretty good linebackers the last 2 or 3 years. What is your philosophy on bringing walk-ons in? How many can you bring in? When you promise them? Or is that a big part of the recruiting process or not?
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many. I mean, we encourage walk-ons, and we walk what we want walk-ons. We have, in preferred walk-ons, and we have a tryout. Tryout, we'll get all sorts, but when you have a preferred walk-on, we want guys that hopefully feel like they have a potential to earn a scholarship and want to earn one. We also are pretty much a stickler on GPAs when it comes to our walk-ons, so they count towards our team GPA. That's just a part of the process, and so you get a guy like Lako who is a very good student and a very good football player, but you take a guy like John Lako, 6'3.5", almost 6'4". He might have been 195, 200 pounds when he got here, but he ran very well, but he was undersized for Division I, probably a little bit, and now he's 230, 228, and he still runs around a 4.55, so 4.6, and he's very smart. So that's the kind of, I think walk-ons are very, very important. We've got them spaced out all over our team. And they have helped to make a difference in our program over the years. But but by all means, you want to have a good, solid walk-on base.